Hello and welcome to Supercharged episode 207. I'm Adam Dotchess.
And I'm Tommy Houghton.
And today we're going to try something a little bit different. We wanted to try to compress the format a little bit because I feel like we end up going on about a variety of things that end up making the show really unfocused. And we also have less time than we used to. So we thought that we would give a shot at solving one problem per episode, or like 1.1 problems, as you'll understand in a moment. And try to do it within 30 minutes. So we're going to do some more complex things. It's not, at some points I have a 3D printer coming. We're going to make that and talk about the difficulty in choosing a 3D printer and some of the problems that go along with it. I don't know, that's probably about as far as we've thought about it other than what we're going to do today. But today we're going to talk about cord cutting in terms of your television, because it's one of those topics that I think I've been discussing since I was 17.
Well, and also it's been evolving.
Yeah, exactly.
There was something that changed the ability to cord cut. It seems easier and easier. And there's a term called cord nevers, which are people who've never had cable service, and that's increasing pretty heavily.
Yeah, and I mean, I would be happy to join that group if it were possible, but I was born too early. Anyway, so we're going to do that. We're going to do it in a half an hour. We're actually going to set a timer, But before we go into that, we're going to spend 5 minutes on answering a random Yahoo question, which Tommy has selected.
And these are kind of like an amuse-bouche, if you will, a way to kind of get our brains thinking and coming up with some interesting ways to connect with our fellow man. Mm-hmm. And what
before you do that,
yes,
Alexa, timer 30 minutes. We're taking this seriously.
Yeah. 30 minutes, starting now.
Thanks, Alexa.
All right, let's do it.
So the great... I don't know if I'd call it service, but Yahoo Answers, if no one knows, is full of some of the worst, strangest questions. It's basically a message board where you post questions.
How is Babby formed?
And yes, that's one of the most famous ones. Mm-hmm. Is how is Babby formed? How girl get pregnant? And then people gave great answers. So the great equalizer is Yahoo Answers to see how people come together to ask questions. It's sort of a weird hybrid of people trolling each other, looking to get reinforcement for their beliefs, and also post spam. And once in a while actually get a legitimate answer to a question. So here is one that picked very current. Why do so many celebrities like Demi Lovato die from overdoses? So first of all, Demi Lovato did not die. She is a former teen star who's kind of become a singer and actress in her own right. And she...
From what I understand, though, she's pretty good at trying.
Yes. She's had multiple issues with substance abuse and self-harm, and apparently she had a massive overdose of some kind and had to be revived and is now recovering in a hospital.
I think it was heroin. I mean, I don't know anything about this other than
opioid of some kind. Yeah.
I asked Richard, and he said, "Oh yeah, it was heroin."
So the big question, first of all, that statement makes a lot of assumptions. It seems that celebrities die at a higher clip because you hear about them. Mm-hmm. But do celebrities die at a faster rate? Now, a lot of people drive drug overdoses every day, and I'm not sure if that's celebrities are any more likely to die because they use drugs more than the average population.
Yeah, we'd have to take like how many celebrities are there, or how many die, and then take the percentage of opioid deaths in the entire population. We'll keep it to the U.S. for simplicity's sake, I think, of this example, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. And then, is that percentage higher? And I would guess that it's normal people die from drug overdoses more.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is celebrities are a subset where you're more aware of them. They make news when they die. But look at the opioid crisis. That thing alone, for people dying from pharmaceuticals, overdoses of drugs, nowadays is pretty high. So anyway, I don't think it's just pure celebrities. But we can focus on why celebrities in general seem to be seen as these drug abusing maniacs. So the celebrity culture, I think in general, gives you ability to indulge in excesses because you have a great deal of money. I think celebrity culture is also very isolating. I think when you are famous, whether you're in a band or in a movie star attitude, I think you are often walled off because you can't go out in public. If you're Harrison Ford or if you are, a giant famous person, your life is very different where you can't really go out. Like most people. I think it's very isolating, and just reading stories about people feeling cut off from reality, and people get depressed. People think being famous or being rich is going to solve problems. Look at the number of celebrities that have committed suicide. Robin Williams and Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, Anthony Bourdain. You have people that have what seem to be the world, and they take their own lives. So depression is clearly an issue. So yeah.
Well, just on the depression note, there was a study that I can't cite off the top of my head right now because we're doing this. I'm wasting time. We have a time limit. The study was about rats and taking basically opioid water it was cocaine water, I think. And they would drink that, and when they were alone, they would always choose the drug water over the regular water. But when they were placed in rat paradise, basically, which I think this is a fairly famous study at this point, you probably heard of it. They would not take the drug water. They would have the regular water because they were happy. And so it's not that drug use doesn't happen with happy people. There's certainly fun to be had in safe moderation with certain types of substances, but you don't see excessive drug use with happy people generally. So if someone is having a serious drug problem, it doesn't usually mean that they're making bad choices. It means that they're really struggling and they need help.
Yeah.
And it should be addressed with compassion. And in celebrity culture, you're kind of, depending on what kind of celebrity you are, but in general, people think that they can do whatever they want with you. They think that you're there for their entertainment. A lot of people treat celebrities that way.
Well, especially now. I think now it's really easy for toxic culture to spill over from Twitter, for social media. You're connected to these people more than ever, and I think it's really easy to have toxic fandom that really takes a toll.
And everything you say and do is under scrutiny.
And on top of that, I think you're also able to be surrounded by yes men. Entourages of famous celebrities tend to be hangers-on that grab at you and kind of keep that cycle. If you look at Elvis and people that were very famous for having these large entourages, he's wealthy and you're able to be part of this giant self-enforcing culture. So I think it's very easy when you get into this life of excess, finding a way to chemically treat your issues and then having the cycle that makes it hard to quit until either you overdose or it goes. And also with just...
Well, we just hit 5 minutes, so
okay.
What do you think is the conclusion
I
overall?
think the conclusion is that, I don't think statistically it's higher than the average, but I think it's more publicized, and I think the lifestyle, the ability to... I think it summarizes it this way. Celebrities are people like anyone else, but suddenly you're isolated, you're given money, and you have the ability to get things you may not have been able to get before, and people around you may not have your best interest at heart. I think when you combine all the things together, it creates an environment where it just exacerbates things. So
in the same way that Americans at least break their leg and get a prescription for hydrocodone, and then it's downhill from there.
Yeah, I think
once you know how to get something and you can afford it.
And I think addiction runs...
You're sad.
Addiction does not have a political, leaning. Everyone suffers from it. Rush Limbaugh was famously
addicted,
embarrassed when he was stopped, and a lot of painkillers were found in his bag. This was a long time ago, 20 years ago. So addiction is a real problem, and I think celebrities have the ability to get access to this stuff, and it just happens to be that it's more highly publicized. So fun stuff. So on to a less depressing topic.
Thanks, Yahoo
Answers.
Cord cutting. So I think you and I both, we don't have a cord in that sense.
My history, I grew up in Kansas where we had cable TV that was always expected. I don't think there's a time we never had it. And then eventually I got, we had DVR. We'd record on a VHS first and then DVR to time shift viewing. But the idea was I always watched stuff. And then in college, we didn't have cable. Actually, we did. We were in old dorms that had basically if you got cable at my university, they would come and basically unlock the cable access, and then you could plug into it. But if you got a female to female adapter, you could just do it yourself. And so everyone stole cable in the old dorms. And what you would do is they would actually check over. There was a well-known thing that they would check over holiday breaks. So you had to then unplug it, and they'd retroactively bill you. So you just unplugged it over the holiday breaks and then plug it back in. So we had cable, we'd watch shows, but not very much. I didn't watch a lot of TV in college. But that's when the advent of YouTube and streaming really began to happen. So when I moved to LA, I had cable, but then very slowly I realized I didn't need it. I liked recording, DVRing. I think it was convenient. Yeah,
I always thought, if it weren't for the commercials, I would have loved having a DVR. I always thought they were cool.
I didn't mind. The fast forwarding made it easier. I had a TiVo. I would time shift. I don't think I watched anything really live. even like an award show or something that I'd watch for being part of the industry, I would always start it late and fast forward to catch up. So there's something about having control over your entertainment where you're not sitting there stuck with commercials. I think ads are really obnoxious, but it's become really easy to give it up. So yeah, when I transitioned careers, I was like, it makes sense to get rid of cable, and I'm not going to miss it much. So I sold my TiVo, and I got rid of cable. And it's weird. I didn't really need it. I don't miss it. There's so many convenient options now to watch your content that, I don't miss cable.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, when I cut the cord when I was like 17 or 18, I was working in advertising, and that was kind of what threw me over the edge. I started studying. I wanted to be in advertising. And when I saw how horribly manipulative it was, I mean, it's why I have a hard time doing any of the marketing stuff that I have to do these days. But it's just like, if someone doesn't want something, I don't want to make them want it. Like if they think they might want it, and they want to know honestly what, whether it's right for them, then I have no problem helping someone figure that out. But I don't want to shove something down someone's throat because it's in my best interest and not necessarily theirs. It's just uncomfortable to do that, I think.
No, I feel the same way. There are times that I don't mind marketing if it's a product placement that makes sense. It's weird when you're watching a movie and a character walks into a kitchen and like all the labels are blank. That almost is more jarring. And I don't mind it if there is, specific cereal or drinks in the fridge or I think it actually makes it feel more lived in. It's only when you have to they hold up the can perfectly to the screen. And there's a really awful example in a recent I really missed the Soup when Joel McHale went off the air on E, and he now has a Netflix show that's basically everything but the name. It's the Joel McHale show, and they love making fun of soap operas because I don't watch them, but apparently there was one whole segment.
That was the best part about the Soup, is like all the shows that you don't want to watch, you get to hear how terrible they are.
Exactly, and it's funny pointing out the weird random non sequitur stuff that's like, what? There is a soap opera that had a 5-minute basically commercial for some makeup product where people are looking through like a VIP gift bag for an award show, and they pull out this makeup, and of course they hold it up to the camera, and they discuss all its amazing features and how they want to steal this makeup because it's amazing, and that feels a little bit unnatural. So it's clear that companies are trying to advertise in weird ways because they know that cord cutting is a problem. And if you can find a way to integrate your product into the show, like 24 did this. They had, I think, the premiere of one season, first 2 hours of the episode were commercial free, and it had very heavily featured Ford trucks. And so you have these glamour shots of the action sequences all have Ford, and it's at night, but the logo is still very perfectly clear.
Yeah.
And they're using the features like, quick, go down here, or like, but we're going to flip over. It's like, oh no, but this car has special kind of turning ability. And so...
But I think there's something to, like, I don't think product placement is a bad thing necessarily, because if it's subtle and it's not like in your face in a way that is like you have to buy this and it feels unnatural. Yeah. Like my favorite product placement ever, which I say this because I'm not any percent sure really that this even was a product placement, but it was in the first season of Silicon Valley, where their main investor guy, I don't remember what his name was, but the one that was replaced by Laurie, for those of you who watch the show, because he died, unfortunately. Yes. He had a whole B or C story, I don't remember, about these guys who were asking for more money, and he was talking about sesame seeds and Burger King for like the whole episode, and it's like, what is the point of this? But then, and I'm pretty sure this ended up actually being an inaccurate conclusion, but it was still awesome. He was talking about how he invested in the sesame seeds because he ate a Burger King burger and realized that there was an opportunity to make some money, and then he was able to use that money to give it to these people, and that was the conclusion of it. And it was like, wow, it doesn't matter if Burger King paid for that or not.
Yeah, that's a clever integration.
I will not forget Burger King now. That was very clever.
Yeah.
And so when I did my art show, I was thinking about that because I wanted to get a sponsor where it felt like they were naturally integrated, and that's one of the reasons Pornhub was approached, because there were so many things that we were doing that were about sexual things.
Yeah.
And some of them were things that they would very much not want to associate their brand with, so I pointed those out for them up front. But, I was like, we can put you on a coin, we can do all these things. Like, it makes sense that this is a Pornhub thing.
Sure.
And so and whenever I asked other sponsors as well, I was like, I want to integrate you in a way that seems like you were supposed to be there. So I would write everything like, okay, well, who would, what kind of brand would go in here?
Yeah, that's interesting. No, the thing is, I think if the General Hospital clip of like talking about makeup for 5 minutes felt very jarring and unnatural, but having a logical integration doesn't bother me. So
yeah, it's not a problem because then they're not selling it to you; they're just letting you know that it's there.
Yeah, and
remember the name, and then you'll think about it, and you can make up your own mind.
I don't mind that. And also, Jimmy Kimmel did a couple clever live commercials, which are funny because they usually screw up. There's something weird about live material that has comedic elements to it. So they're clever ways to advertise because they know that cord cutting is happening. And so now the question is, have we replaced the buy a cable TV package and get all these channels with having to buy a la carte, which is basically more expensive because people are doing it because of price. They would buy a cable package forced to have 500 channels, and how many would you actually watch? On average, I think I had 10 channels that I watched.
Yeah, and but if you think about it, like if you're getting the full cable package, you're probably paying at least $150 a month.
Yeah,
more after probably, the deal ends.
You're probably bundling, with the internet and phone or just internet.
Yeah, because even if you have that stuff, they're forcing.
Yeah.
If you want the TV, it's like you still have to buy the other stuff. Otherwise, it's going to cost twice as much or something. I mean, like when I helped my mom cut the cord, and I hooked her up with I don't remember what. I think it was just YouTube TV. Which she loves because she can get her local news channels, which she wants to watch for some reason. And there's also, like all the other regular cable TV on there. I think it's $35, and the interface is really great. It almost made me want to get it myself.
So we're moving away from the era of, one of them obviously is time shifting, is not watching stuff live, but watching whenever you want. Trying to avoid commercials, YouTube TV.
Yeah, that's my big thing is no commercials.
Yeah.
I will pay for not having commercials every time.
So what are your options? You have, if you want to get rid of cable TV, which cable TV companies are getting used to the fact that they're losing that income, even though, bear in mind though, even though they're losing it long term, there's still a lot of cable subscribers.
And they have their own like YouTube TV-esque thing. Spectrum pushes that they mail month after month after month, like, don't you want to subscribe to our TV thing? And I'm like, do you want to take out the commercials?
Yeah.
And then we can talk.
And they're pushing it too, because that's a lot of money for them. Basically, the fear for them is they have a line of business that's making money. And the more stuff that happens over the internet cable versus the quote-unquote cable, they're losing money because it's all going towards, the internet. So if you have that, they're making less money. So they have an incentive to keep things going. There's a reason I think cable TV, obviously the rise of the internet digital streaming has helped, but there's a reason also why I think cable TV is dying is because they don't want to innovate. TiVo was a big innovation when it came out.
And they crushed it.
Yeah, and on top of that, you now have cable companies. There's a big thing. The cable boxes are technically closed off, meaning that you can't buy a third-party cable box. You've got to use your own. The goal was for the FCC to open up this development so you could basically buy a range of cable box products that did different things. But instead of, because that's a big, rental of these equipment fees, that's a huge thing for cable companies.
Yeah.
You have to pay on top of your service renting this box that's in your house that's needed to get the service.
They forced one on me once. I returned it, and this is Comcast, just so, not that I probably have to say that, but they basically tried to charge me $300 for a box that I returned. I had a photo of returning it with the guy because I don't trust them.
No, yeah.
And I think it took 3 years before they finally let it go.
It's funny how
I sent them a letter.
There are a lot of complaints about equipment being broken and faulty, about having to pay for it. So cable TV is not going to go out without a dying last gasp. Plus, you have to think of who subscribes. It's people that don't have reliable internet connections. It's people who have don't like new technology. So cable TV is going to be here for a while. But internet digital streaming has allowed for a lot of flexibility in how you watch stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of the best programming is happening on some of the main services, and so it's kind of hard to. You probably have Amazon Prime one way or the other. Yeah, or know someone who does that's sharing it with you. Netflix is obviously. Netflix is Netflix. You're going to get that or you're not going to get that. And then if you want premium channels like HBO and Showtime, they're more accessible and have more content for more people than they ever did.
And used to be the HBO, you could only get that over. And one thing that cable TV did to try to stave off sort of, people leaving was they would let you get access to streaming, like HBO Go was only available to cable customers. And you would have to log in using your cable credentials to get access to HBO Go. Well, then HBO launched their own service called HBO Now, which
Mm-hmm.
you don't need cable TV to get it. You
Yeah.
can buy that's standalone HBO. So
Yeah.
nowadays you can pretty much get almost any channel through a mixture of Hulu. You have Netflix. You have Amazon Prime. You have pretty much any streaming service.
Yeah, and Hulu's great for, as much as I'm not a big Hulu fan, great for bundling channels like Showtime. I think they have a few of them, and then that also goes to, there are plenty, it's not totally a la carte anymore. It used to be that case where it's like $10 a month for everything that you want to, for every channel you want to watch, or you have to pay like $3 an episode just to watch it in HD if you want to have a copy that's DRM'd, but at least, kind of yours. But there are services like Verve, for example, VRV, for those of you who are not familiar with it, that aggregates Crunchyroll and CuriosityStream and like a bunch of other. It's like anime and science. It's a weird combination. But
yeah, so there are specific streaming sites that are popping up now, like Shudder is one of several horror exclusive services. There was some of these are falling and rising and falling and rising. There's one that was dedicated to comedy that died. So these different streaming services are all kind of fighting for your dollar. CBS has their own All Access, which produces content that's exclusive for the web. So you have like The Good Fight, which is the Good Wife spinoff, is on CBS All Access.
Star Trek Discovery.
Yep, Star Trek. So you're seeing Disney is going to be launching their own streaming service, which is going to be home for like Marvel and Star Wars
That's
content.
going to be very interesting. I'm a little scared.
Yeah, and so these big companies are all competing. So it's back to the Wild West format of is a la carte what you want. Now you're going to be paying a lot more if you want to watch all the shows. So it's a question
but you couldn't though. I think that's the beautiful thing about this is there's like I can't even keep up with Netflix.
Yeah, there's so many shows, so much content out there. A year in and year out, you're seeing the number of produced scripted shows is going up, and you're competing against cable networks, network TV, and streaming content.
Yeah, and if you throw YouTube into that,
yeah, so you're dealing with YouTube as well,
even without the Red.
Yeah, YouTube Red
program, or I guess what is it? YouTube Premium now? They changed it.
Yeah, they're changing it. But yeah, so YouTube Red, which will become YouTube Premium, is like basically their subscription service. It has like Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid spinoff, which is, for what I hear, pretty good. And they're adding new shows. Facebook has Facebook Watch, which is their streaming content. Snapchat at one point was trying to produce content. So you're seeing
Instagram TV might end up being something at some point. It's kind of hard to tell right now.
You're seeing all these different content providers come up. So how do you consume it? Well, you can almost always watch it on your television. They have apps now for almost everything, either through the TV, a smart TV itself, or through an Xbox, or Roku, or any kind of streaming platform.
Yeah, there's like basically no device at all that doesn't host most of the services.
Yeah.
Personally, I think the NVIDIA Shield is the best bet if you want everything in one place, unless you're an Apple user. Or I guess I'm an Apple user, but not in that sense. But I mean, it's kind of like an Apple TV, an Apple TV won't get you, Google Play, and an NVIDIA Shield won't get you iTunes. But for the most part, everything else is on both of those platforms. But you can't get everything on the Fire TV, and you can't get anything on another Android TV box because Amazon only works with NVIDIA.
That's the hard part with these streaming services is when you have hardware makers. Also producing content, they're going to be limiting about saying, well, you can't get this competing company on here. So how do you getting everything in one, like Adam said, is kind of hard. Additionally, there's one other wrinkle where you can do DVR still. You can do over-the-air antenna that gets local stations. Yeah,
NVIDIA Shield supports the over-the-air antenna. It also can do YouTube TV, so you can get DVR through both of those services.
And so like something like Plex or Kodi, which are
Plex, both... Plex is what does it, actually.
Yeah, Plex and Kodi both have, they're basically video streaming software that you can have like a server on your home network, or even log in through the cloud and have all of your video content that's hardware based.
Do you prefer Plex or Kodi? Because
I like Plex better.
Yeah, I do too, and I don't.
I've got a Plex Pass, so.
I mean, for those who don't remember, XBMC is what preceded Kodi. I don't know why they changed the name, because now it sounds like a
it sounds like a
waspy white kid.
Yeah.
From who lives in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, it does, and it's spelled K-O-I-D.
K-O-D-I.
Yeah. So
I don't know why they would change it.
It's silly. But yeah, Plex and Kodi are both these streaming platforms where you basically upload your media to a cloud and you can watch it anywhere. So now they also Plex announced a DVR feature where you can stream over the air and record via an over-the-air antenna for free. Basically, you buy the hardware, you get a Plex Pass, which is for premium members, and then you get access to DVR over just like an antenna. Yeah, so that's another option too.
Plex Pass is like $5 a month, or is it $3 a month still?
Something like that. Or you can just pay $100, 100 something, 120, and get lifetime.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's good.
The idea of having Yeah, that only gives you local stations and stuff
and
within range.
It used to not. The Plex Pass used to not do a lot, but now there's so many features of the app that are worthwhile. They have a whole VR thing now, which
yes, they added a VR component.
I was like, oh, that'll be interesting to try, and then I found out that they didn't release it for the Vive, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? But they did for the Oculus Go, and I apparently don't care enough to try it because it's just like watching in virtual reality with your friends, and like I like the Microsoft HoloLens for watching stuff in bed on my own private little screen because it was I don't know, I could see everything else. I knew where I was. It wasn't like light shining in my face I don't know, it was just like it was like adding a TV to the room.
Yeah.
Whereas in the VR headset, you kind of got to commit to being somewhere else, even though you're not.
So one last option, which we'd be remiss not to mention, is if you want to go the illegal route. People pirate stuff all the time.
Yeah, Plex is also great for that.
Yeah, Plex is more or less built for if you have content that you have that's just files that you download somewhere. You can use it to sort. And it can also
you could be using it through a DVR program, though, just so we're not throwing Plex under the bus here.
Yes, exactly.
Legally. Not that anyone listening cares, but...
Yeah, I mean, they're not held liable for whatever you put on there. But, so what options do people use? If you want to pirate, the best way is to do so smartly. If you're going to pirate, you can stream. Stream is a lot better, where you're not actually downloading content directly. You're just streaming it from different hosting sites. So trusting a good streaming site is nice because things are taken down often. And there's a lot of pop-ups, so make sure you have an ad blocker installed.
But the content going to YouTube even is...
Yeah, but then it gets pulled. YouTube has a lot of content protection you're always wrapping around where they'll block the video and they'll either distort it, stretch it out, put it upside down, change the audio.
Yeah,
to make it so it reduces the quality, and those things always get pulled down.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're stealing it, there's that. I mean, like that's... I only mention YouTube because it's... I run into so much content by accident when I'm like looking for someone commenting about a certain episode, or I guess I don't do that often, but like sometimes I'm looking for information on something on a particular show, and I end up, instead of getting what I'm looking for first, I get the more recent uploads because that's how the algorithm provides it, and I end up with a full episode. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want YouTube thinking I'm trying to watch illegal content because it messes up the recommendations. Yeah,
and I would YouTube that stuff gets pulled so quickly, and it's often really bad quality. So if you're looking for anything,
but that's the case a lot of places.
And no, I mean there's full quality on streaming sites. They're not recording with a camera. Usually what happens is there are people that record all the channels and just cut up episodes. But yeah, you can watch pretty much anything on streaming sites. It just, again, use an ad blocker, be smart. And then you can also download stuff through pirate sites. But if you do that, you're going to get dinged eventually by your ISP.
Yeah, but that's what a VPN is
Yeah, so use a good VPN.
Like private internet access is, I think, what still stands as the easiest.
It's one of the easiest.
Yeah, I mean, if I've wanted to watch content outside of the country, sometimes it's weird. Sometimes there's American content that I can't watch in America because the rights aren't available.
Or like an example might be Netflix for like the movie Annihilation, for example. Paramount didn't believe in it, so they released it only in the US and I think China, and then they gave the rest of it Netflix streaming rights immediately. So opening weekend, you could either go see it in the US or you could watch it on Netflix if you live in a different country, but using a VPN. A VPN is a virtual private network that basically simulates your IP address that you are from somewhere else.
So your traffic is all routed through a server, and you want the reason you want a good one is not because, I mean, some of them might suck speed-wise or something like that, so there's that, but mainly if you're going to do something that you don't want people to find out about, whether, regardless of legality involved, your traffic is being routed through a server in a location, and you want a company that doesn't keep logs of that, because law enforcement could then use the logs against you if there was something that looked bad or was actually bad. So that's the reason for, and that's the value of a VPN. But VPN isn't full protection. An encrypted VPN with SSL, and you generally want the more encryption involved, the better in terms of not getting found. And
VPN's not always just for piracy. You can use it for protection if you're on, let's say, a public hotspot. Using a VPN makes it hard for people to sniff on what you're doing.
I only use it for things that are not that would not be considered bad, and that's not I don't.
Yeah, if you don't trust your ISP as well, it prevents them from snooping at what you're looking at or doing.
I'm only against piracy when when there's a reasonable alternative to it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that popped up is realizing.
So I'm not judging anyone.
Yeah, there was an option back before streaming sites existed. You could buy episodes that after they aired, and you would own that, and it's like a digital content thing. So the question is, do you want to own your content? So you can still buy, I suppose, physical media or digital copies of a season. You can't really rent them. I guess the streaming version is renting it, but yeah. So bottom line is there's a lot of options: legal, illegal, convenient. It depends on what you call convenient. For me, I got rid of cable. I am subscribed to a few services, and those things that I want to watch that I can't get, I will. Perhaps maybe a VPN is helpful to obtain that stuff, but because it's impossible to subscribe to everything, and I do want to support creators. The most important thing is that I think any creator who creates something good, I want to support in some capacity, making sure they get paid. I have a huge chip on my shoulder when it comes to giant corporations making tons of money, but I want to make sure creators get rewarded for their content.
Yeah, I mean, I used to copy DVDs from Netflix because they would come in and I didn't know when I would want to watch them and I didn't want to sit on it for a week. So I would just rip them and then send them back and then watch them when I wanted. And I'd still pay for the subscription when I wasn't using it. It was just like I just wanted to, and that was often the thing with other media, is I just wanted it available. I wanted it available to me. So like the more and more that stuff gets convenient, when Netflix did a streaming service, I stopped doing that. Yeah, because it wasn't necessary. And I think that it's important that if you're going to, if you're taking media, like you have to at least be willing to convert your behavior into a legal, ethical into legal ethical behavior if you're if you're going to do that when the opportunity presents itself. But one thing that I also did is whenever I had the opportunity to like actually pay the creator directly, I used to send checks to filmmakers, and I don't know what happened to most of them.
What?
I'd find out what their addresses were or where their offices were, and I would send them a check for how much it cost to buy the movie.
They cash it?
Some of them did.
That's crazy. Who'd you send it to?
I don't remember. It was like this
anyone
was like
famous, or what? Remember the movie it was for?
It was usually like indie movies.
Oh, okay. They especially would appreciate it. Like sending a check to Steven Spielberg might.
Oh yeah. Well, it looks like our time is up. Oh. Alexa, stop.
I think Steven Spielberg, and you also just probably stopped or set an alarm. By the way, we should.
Oh yeah.
I think Spielberg would appreciate a check.
Yeah, I don't think that he might find it charming. I don't know, but this was like I remember one of the movies. I actually did not like this movie, but I did it anyway. I think it was called XXXY. It reminded me a lot about a family member's dating situation, and I think this director has made more than one movie about this family member. I mean, that has been influenced by his behavior, and it's not, or by actual moments in his life. And I say that because I know that's the case.
Wow, this is very vague, but keep
I'm trying not to like, I don't want anyone to find things out they're not supposed to find out. But I mean like it's, I don't know. I should just shut up.
Yeah.
But I sent him a check because I felt bad. There's I think in that movie there was someone asked for their money back because they hated the movie of the film director who was or filmmaker who was the focus of the film, and so he at the end of that one, I think this was the one that started me on this path actually, or like I felt bad, and so I sent him a check.
That's very sweet.
I don't remember if he's one of the people who cashed it, but I used to do this with software too. Like sometimes I would steal software.
See, I don't mind this. Yeah, the software thing is sweet, and there's actually a really funny thing. Back in the early days of video games, when they were on discs, it was really easy to just install them, and they would have sometimes copy protection, where in the game, the physical copy of the game, you'd have like a thing where it's like, what symbol matches this one, and you had to look at a physical piece of paper or a thing that would be hard to photocopy. So there's a thing that like a plastic wheel or a cardboard wheel that you spin, and as you're spinning it, it reveals different things, so it's hard to copy that perfectly. So they would find ways to try to like cheat it, but even then it was hard. But there are certain creators that are making games now that did that back in the day have like the little donation things on their site saying like, absolve your guilt for any piracy you may have done earlier.
Yeah, and there's this one program, Visual Hub, which I loved, and I wish, Road Movie is, I guess, this closest successor, but I mean, there's some things that it just did that were wonderful, and he made one called Audio Hub. and some other. I mean, he made these like media conversion programs that were really cheap, and I don't remember what. Like, I didn't. It wasn't a money thing. It was some like reason that I couldn't buy it. Like, I think I gave my serial number to a friend or something because they couldn't afford it, and I felt bad about doing that. I don't remember what the situation was exactly, but it wasn't a situation where buying a copy necessarily made sense or was possible at the moment. But I sent him an email later on to be like, listen, I sent this to I sent this to a friend, and they're using a free copy, and I want to make sure that you're compensated for it. Like, is there somewhere I can send some money in? And he was like, I have a new program coming, just buy that when it comes out.
See, I think it's sweet. So yeah,
most people are really nice about it. It's like, I never want to do anything to harm anybody's ability to create. Quite the contrary. And I'll usually, like, when I can help people create more, I usually will do that, and not for free if it's work. I don't usually charge for that if I want to help bring something into the world that's not mine. But it's, like, sometimes it's just impractical. Sometimes the way things work need to change, and the way that they change are through, doing something that isn't always 100% ethical or legal, but it's in protest.
Yeah.
As silly as that may be for something like the media, but sometimes the reason we have streaming is because of piracy.
Yeah, no, I think it's realizing if you can make a simple alternative that's easier, you're never going to convert everyone, but you reduce the impact. Yeah. So I try to be legal where possible and support creators as much as possible. And I think there are a lot of options. So bottom line is, I think ending final tips is, it's easy if you want to watch a whole season of something. If you want to save your money and not subscribe to a thing forever. If you, for example, want to watch, like, say, The Good Fight, but you don't want to afford and watch it in real time, you can just wait till the season's over and subscribe for 1 month, watch it all, and then finish. So that way you're still paying for content. You just have to be careful about buying. Now, most companies like HBO did something very clever where they tie up their seasons and have a new show begin that's really popular. So you might have Game of Thrones end, and then the next week is when a big show also begins. So they'll not have their things all drop at once. So we encourage you to stay subscribed.
Yeah, so they always have something that you're watching each week on there.
So you can fight those tactics by waiting for the season. Now, granted, you're fighting spoilers, but it depends. Your mileage may vary. A lot of shows are out there.
And if you want to if you don't want to watch TV all the time, if you feel like you watch too much TV, it's a good thing. Don't just cut the cord, but cut the streaming thing. I don't know what that metaphor is, but because you can still buy DVDs when the show's out. You can buy episodes
digital
online.
Copies. Yeah, they're making less physical media, but
and once the whole season's out, well, even before the whole season's out, you usually get a season pass for $15, $20. It's not that bad. So I that's how I used to watch TV. I couldn't afford cable, and I didn't want to go out of my way to be downloading every single show, and I didn't really like watching shows when they were on that much. Yeah. So I would just wait till the season was over and get the DVD.
I think it's a smarter move too, because for me, I hate watching a show that gets canceled. And you kind of lose these threads. So it's often I like waiting for there to be a consensus that a show is good, and then I will dive into it. After it's been renewed, at least for a couple seasons or a season.
If I can stay away from a show, I will wait until it's aired. I mean, like, for example, with Attack on Titan, I started watching that when it came out because I heard it was good, and I got really into it, and it's a very addictive anime show. But then the season 2 took like 3 years to come out. So I waited and waited and waited, and then I got really mad. And then when it finally came out, I was like, I'm not watching it. I'm gonna wait till it's over because I want to know if it's worth it. And then I forgot about it for a year after that, and watched it, and it was really good. And then season 3 just started, so that was nice that now I really didn't even have to wait that long for the next one. Timing. But I'm waiting for that season to end too, which apparently has twice as many episodes, because I blew through the second one, and I would have been been waiting like very eagerly for the next episode if not for that. And I hate feeling that way. I'm just gonna watch it when it's over because
we're impatient animals. So that's cord cutting. I think we got a lot in.
Yeah, hopefully some of that helps for those of you who have yet to cord cut. But
what solutions do you have? How do you consume content? Is there an easier, more streamlined way? How do you discover content? Any suggestions, feel free to let us know.
Yeah, just send it in at awkwardhuman.com/supercharged. You'll find the options there, just FYI. The old email address, well, supercharged@toasterdog.com. It's not that I don't get them, it just doesn't import into the system properly, so I have to do it manually. So it's definitely better to do it through the website. Excuse me. But one last thing, we did, a listener Rob wrote in to tell us that the mic tapping, if we apparently bumped the mic like that a little bit, we were asking...
Like that.
Yeah. We were asking if that was audible or not, and apparently it's not really, so that's great. We can make our mistakes more often, and...
I will deliberately hit the mic multiple times, just take out my rage and punch it.
Yeah, so it's good to know that Tommy has that option now.
That's nice.
But aside from that, apparently there have been a few ambulances in the background, and Rob mentioned that those are audible, which is interesting because they're not that loud.
Yeah, I don't even register them here, but I guess
I don't think we have one today.
Supersonic.
Yeah, the problem is I live by a hospital. Hopefully no one finds me and kills me now. But I live near a hospital, and it's an inevitability, and we're about as insulated as we possibly could be. So I apologize if it's annoying.
I'm sorry someone dying is bothering your podcast listening.
Yeah, and I don't think Rob was saying that. Just to be fair to Rob.
How dare you?
But yeah, that's our apologies if that gets picked up. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot we can do about that.
We can yell outside because
we don't even notice it.
We can yell them to cut it out,
Yeah.
Just, hey, stop it. People recording podcasts over here. Turn that down.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll work.
I do think ambulances could be a bit softer, though.
Yeah, they're annoying.
Yeah.
Not the ambulance themselves, but the
siren, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so on that note, ambulances get to work, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to this episode of Supercharged. If you'd like to send in a comment or a question, you can do so on awkward.email. You just go on your web browser to awkward.email. It's actually a website. And you can call or text 509-AWKWARD instead if you'd like to just skip all of that and do it from your phone. Also, if you'd like to check out some of our other shows, we've got a lot of great shows now, and we're having more every day, or, eventually. You can do that on awkwardhuman.com/podcast. Go check it out. We've got a lot of good stuff, and we hope that you'll be listening every week. Thanks.